An 18-year-old takes his first solo hunt, guided only by his grandfather's walkie. The dogs are nervous, the woods turn dark. What rises out of the clearing is antlered, upright, and growling. Can I escape? I step into the clearing with my breath fogging and the two hounds moving like shadows at my heels. The sun is a thin bruise on the horizon and cold gathers under the leaves. My grandfather's voice comes over the walkie, flat and steady, the kind that has guided me through chores and campfires. Keep slow, stay low. The radio has a soft rasp beneath his words that sets my teeth on edge. The dogs halt as if hit by the same thought. One taps its paw twice on the leaf litter and then freezes so hard I can hear its nails scrape. The other lifts its head and holds it, ear twisted toward something I can't hear. I breathe and my chest sounds too loud. I think I should move, but the world feels locked. I smell the woods, wet leaves and old pine, and a new thing, metallic like pennies rubbed into bark. It clings to my glove and the inside of my nose. Leaves fall in a small, slow shower around us as if dropped from the next branch. My grandfather says, "You see that line? Head down it." Quiet, I move, rifle heavy and familiar, the strap biting my shoulder. I sweep the flashlight between trunks and catch a thin, pale shape like bone in the beam. The light holds it, and when I blink the place where it sat is empty. I freeze with the beam steady, waiting for the dogs to stir. The radio hisses my name and I answer. My voice pitches high. The light sweeps back where the shape was and finds only darker trunks and the shadows already fallen too fast. I follow the deer trail that cuts between tight trunks and the woods close in so my steps sound like someone else's, loud and echoing. My grandfather's voice bleeds through the walkie with a wet overlay. A metallic hiss rides beneath his words. Keep left of the ridge, don't move fast. The dogs press forward, but every few paces they jerk and stare uphill. Something brushes a sapling close enough to slap my cheek with cold bark. I look and find a smear along the trunk, rust-colored and dark, like someone dragged along it with force. A low throat noise answers from above, not fox or coyote, but a wet clearing of lungs where a voice breaks. The dogs' hackles rise. One breathes a long, puzzled whine, the other snorts and strains at the leash, pulling farther than I let it. Every sapling seems to hold a shadow that hangs wrong. The trail narrows and the air grows damp and metallic. I grip the rifle by the stock because the strap keeps sliding on my shoulder. My grandfather pops up on the walkie, voice ragged. "You all right? You sound." The signal cuts into a wet hiss and then returns. "Hear me." The light catches a darker antler shape behind a thin trunk. It moves like a second body, sliding, an antler-shaped shadow that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand straight. It slips behind the tree as if it never wanted to be seen. I come up the blind slope and the light thins to gray. The dogs fall silent, no bark, only breath pressed tight through their teeth. A deer steps into the clearing below me, pale hide flashing in the wet leaf bed. For one beat, everything feels ordinary. I lift the rifle, the strap biting my shoulder, sight lined for a clean shot. "Hold, wait," my grandfather says through the walkie, but the words crackle apart before I catch them. Something moves behind the deer. Not another animal, shoulders too broad, antlers cutting the skyline at a wrong angle. My finger twitches from habit, Summers shooting tin cans, the reflex burned into me. The deer bolts as if yanked by an invisible cord, muscle tearing through the brush in one blur. It doesn't make 10 strides. A heavy shape rises with it, and the sound that follows isn't the snap of branches but a wet tearing. Leaves scatter with dark spray. One hound lunges ahead and the noise that answers is thin and final, a single scream cut short. The other dog freezes, tail tucked, whining in a way I've never heard. I choke on breath. The walkie spits static and my grandfather's voice cuts one word. "No." In the sweep of my light, the thing straightens, dragging the deer limp against its chest. It shouldn't stand the way it does, man-shaped, but lupin, shoulders hunched like something that learned to walk wrong. My beam catches the slick around its muzzle and the glassy flare of its eyes. On the stone where it stood, something wet slides slow as paint, dripping into the leaves. My tongue tastes metal, my hands shake around the stalk. I slide down the slope toward the creek where the deer fell. The ground is slick, my boots skid on leaves as if the hill wants me down faster. The flashlight beam jumps and the water below shines dull and wrong. A hound's cry rips out of the dark, sharp, rising, then cut off like something folded it shut. My chest seizes. The walkie explodes with ragged static, my grandfather's voice breaking apart. Don't stay, hold, and then silence as if he was pulled off the line too. I crash through brush and find a collar hanging from a branch. The leather is bent, rasped through as if teeth worried it. The tag knocks against the wood once before swinging still. My fingers come away sticky with a warmth that clings in the cold. The bark around it bears long, sliding gouges, deeper than claws I've ever seen. The ground churns with hound prints, but they scatter into confusion and end in a drag mark down the bank. In the mud beside the creek are impressions that don't belong. Wide, deep, and then split, two long toes pressed flat together, human and animal in the same step. I whisper, "Boy." The water answers with a ripple and a wet scrape climbing up the far bank. Something moves out of my light but leaves behind the sound of weight dragging. The trail ahead holds prints, deer, hound, and those two-toed marks that break the rhythm. My knees tremble, but I follow anyway, hoping to find one dog alive. Hoping and already knowing. I stagger back toward the old oak clearing, memory shredding into flashes, dogs' cries, a body's squat weight, the snap of leather. The collar is still in my hand, chewed through and stiff. The clearing shows signs of struggle. The earth is mashed flat, clawed into shallow trenches where something heavy thrashed. My rifle strap lies looped over a root, the leather slick with that metallic tang. I lift it to my face and gag. The smell is warm iron, like biting a coin hard enough to taste blood. The flashlight shakes as I sweep it across the ground. Shadows double in its edges. The dog's whining echoes in my chest, though the air holds nothing but frost. I fumble the walkie and my grandfather's voice cuts through, strained, cracking. "I'm coming, don't move." "Listen to me," a memory interrupts. Leaves slapping, a boot striking stone, a white flare in the dark. I jerk back because it feels like someone close is breathing into me. My rifle barrel clouds, fogged by breath that isn't mine. I spin, nothing but dark. For a heartbeat I convince myself it was the missing hound returning. But the silence that follows is patient and heavy, like waiting teeth. My body screams to run to the truck, to shut the night away, but my legs lock. I stand inside the static hum of the radio. The breath lingers hot and damp, then drifts off as if retreating into the trees. My grandfather's voice returns, softer, close in the crackle. "Hold together, get to the truck, don't run." I back away slow, the rifle trembling. A long, hot breath fogs the barrel again before fading, leaving the scent of iron on the air. I break from the trees and see the truck waiting under a strip of thinning sky. Relief almost fools me, until the engine coughs once, rattles, then dies like something pulled the life straight out of it. The hood quivers, once, twice. Heavy, deliberate, like knuckles knocking on a coffin lid. Frost creaks under my palm when I slam the starter again. No spark, I sweep the flashlight up. Wet smears streak across the roof. A single clawed print cuts through the paint, glistening black. The sight roots me until my hands remember the collars in the cab. I clutch them to my chest, small weights that should have been warm bodies. My grandfather's face fills the glass, jaw clenched. "Get in, lock it." His voice trembles under the radio's chorus of hisses, men shouting call signs that break apart mid-word. I grind the starter again and the engine snarls awake in protest. For a heartbeat, the headlights rake the tree line, dark between trunks shivers like it's breathing. Then a roof thump drops so hard the cab rocks. I climb inside, fingers shaking as the locks click. My palm traces the gouged paint on the hood. The claw mark holds in the beam like a promise. My grandfather keeps the radio close, voice low and taut. "Don't open. Don't even look long." The cab smells of wet leaves and fear. We sit boxed in by light and engine hum. My grandfather's hands knot the wheel white, the shotgun balanced across his knees. His voice crackles through static, clipped and calm. "This is our ground, stay out." "Back away," no reply, only wet hisses like breath dragged across the speaker. The passenger window shudders. A snout pushes hard against the glass. Cold breath fogs, then smears into a dark, wet streak. I see matted hair, glistening black eyes, the shine of blood on its lips. The pain bows inward with a groan. My grandfather yanks the shotgun up and fires into the yard. The blast deafens in the cab. Outside, a chorus answers, yips, growls, voices too close to human. The shape withdraws only to slam again, shoulder first this time. A spiderweb crack blooms across the glass, one sharp line running straight toward my face. My throat locks on a scream. The smear dries into a thin, dark trail, sinking into the rubber seal-like ink seeping into paper. My grandfather mutters, almost to himself, "Don't make it mad." His grip tightens until his knuckles knock wood on the stock. I think about running, opening the door, anything but sitting here. His hand clamps my wrist before I move. The window creaks again, bowing like it wants to burst. My grandfather finally steps out, lantern raised. The light throws his shadow long across the grass, small against the trees. I press my face to the glass, heart a drum in my ears. He circles the fence and comes back slower. He points without words, gouges raked deep into the post, splinters hung with black hair like damp flags. He kneels, lifts a wet shard, antler, sharp and fresh. "This isn't an animal," he says, flat and final. His eyes don't leave the gouges. I let out a shaky breath, foolishly relieved to have proof. I lift the lantern higher, sweep trunks and brush. For a beat the clearing looks empty. Then something slaps the lantern from my hand. Light spins down, spraying shadows that leap across my boots. Before I can move, cold fingers clamp my ankle. The yank is violent, lifting me half off the ground, jeans biting into my skin with bruising pressure. I kick, heels slamming into brush, bones crunching under the strike. The grip loosens with a hiss. My grandfather curses, raises the shotgun, fires once into dark. The blast feels small. The lantern steadies where it fell, but my ankle throbs hot and wet. My grandfather's voice drops to a growl, "Get in the truck, now." This time I don't argue. The house lights blink out in unison, porches, barns, even the neighbor's yard across the lane. One heartbeat of silence, then only the hum of our engine and our breath. Radios crackle like burning wires, then cut to nothing. My phone shows one bar, then dead. We spill down the lane, flashlights slicing frantic beams. By the ditch a car sits crumpled, headlights shattered, bumper wet with fur and dark streaks. No driver, no body. Just drag marks smeared slow across the hood like a signature written in blood. Back at the property, the fence whispers under weight. Something heavy paces it, slow, deliberate, step for step with my pulse. We line torches and flashbacks across the yard, neighbors gripping tools like weapons, voices sharp in the cold. For a moment I almost believe the light will hold. Then the oak groans. A pressure leans into the boards, bending them until the nails squeal. The shape never shows, the dark itself feels thick, pressed against the wood. Someone mutters, "We need to go in." Another hisses, "Get guns." "Run," my grandfather silences them. He crouches, head tilted, listening. "It's counting us," he says. My stomach knots. I aim my beam into a gap. The black there swallows it whole. The weight shifts along the fence, padding slow as a drum beat, each step too heavy for any deer or bear. We hold our breath because even breathing feels like it might give us away. When we try to leave, the truck answers with a single click, the sound of a heart refusing another beat. Men crowd the hood, clamp cables, slam panels. Nothing. Radios stutter, then sag into silence, drained like batteries left in the cold. A howl rises from the overpass. Long, too long, wolf at first, but it stretches, breaks, finishes with a rasp of words too human. The sound crawls under my skin. From the bridge shadow something uncoils, shoulders wider than the guardrail. It steps, then runs, faster than its size should allow. It hits the lamppost in one charge, bends the steel like a toy. The groan of it echoes across the lane. Men fire. Shell casings spit light, stinging my boots. For one terrible second it's there in the beams, upright, crowned with antlers, eyes reflecting fire. Then it folds into the ditch and the brush swallows it like water closing over a stone. We stand smoking guns and shaking arms, waiting for a body. None, only torn fabric in the road, gouged earth, the stink of copper. The highway eats sound. I lick my lips and taste pennies. The truck battery's failure no longer feels like accident. It feels like something cutting us from escape, one wire at a time. And still the road holds its breath. The fence break pulls us into a shallow hollow where the trees press together like clasped hands. The smell arrives first, copper sharp, layered with rot and wet fur. My stomach tightens before I even see it. In the center stands a display too deliberate to be accident. Deer hide flayed into ribbons and hung like banners. The dogs, what's left of them, pinned high on saplings, collars looped neatly as if someone took time to arrange them. Antlers spike through bark in patterns like symbols, each gouge scored too evenly to be wild. The deer's head is twisted full around, glassy eyes staring backward. One hound's jaw is nailed open with a branch. Another is gutted, but the ribs are spread like a cage pointing at us. We circle it in silence. No one speaks. The prints around the site are wrong, huge pads alongside shallow impressions, human-sized, walking light as if tiptoeing. My flashlight trembles and catches a smear of wet antler still dripping. Above us branches stir without wind. A voice, low and raw, breathes my name. It isn't thrown like a shout, it's laid into the air, hanging where the leaves fold. My scalp prickles, my lips answer before I mean to. Nothing moves, nothing answers, but the display feels less like warning now and more like invitation. Roots snag my boot and I lurch backward just as something shifts overhead, so close I feel the heat of breath drop down the back of my neck. By first light the hollow feels unlivable. We push to the neighbor's farm because help tastes like salvation. The gate gapes open. Muddy tracks snake up to the back door, which is latched from within, yet smeared with handprints, fingers clawing downward as if someone tried to keep something out or in. The air inside is stale, wrong. Chairs overturned, plates half laid, a radio crackling static until it dies mid-breath. It smells like gas left on a stove, like someone stepped out in the middle of dinner and never came back. I take the stairs because I hear sound above, slow, patient scraping. Claws dragged across wood, each pass deliberate, pulling at the ceiling beams like teeth on bone. The shadow beneath the bedroom door is too thick, as if someone pressed a body against it. I whisper up the stairwell, my voice dry, no answer. The scrape comes again, slower, like it wants me to know I'm heard. My grandfather's voice crackles on the walkie. Don't get out, leave it. I can't tell if he's warning or begging. I step backward, each tread loud in the silence. The scrape stops. The air feels like something holding its breath. Outside, we tilt our heads up. Across the roof, claw marks drag from end to end, straight lines measured like a pacing predator. Boards scarred in a rhythm as if it circled the house all night, never stopping, never leaving. The house doesn't feel empty, it feels watched. The neighbors come in a wavering chain of lights, voices clipped, guns carried like talismans. At first there's bravado, men calling out, radios chattering like we could claim the night with noise. We string bulbs in windows, slam doors, set traps. For a breath it feels like we're holding ground. A man crawls under the porch with a lantern. The silence that follows sits on a hinge, waiting to break. His voice rips out, raw and sudden. A scream claws across the yard as the porch heaves like something breathing beneath it. Boards tear loose with a wet crack. The lantern spins, guttering shadows across our boots. We see his hand, fingers bleeding, scrabbling before it's yanked down. The porch slams shut like a lid, rattling the nails. His scream cuts off, choked into the earth. We rush with crowbars, pry until our palms blister, but the boards hold fast. The wood feels fused, wrong, as if something deeper holds it. Tools clatter useless in the dark. The smell of damp soil and copper presses heavy in our throats. Radios bleat, then die. The porch creaks again, not opening, just settling, like it had eaten and was satisfied. No one speaks. We circle the house in thin light, listening, and the night gives nothing back but the memory of a scream swallowed whole. I push past the house, past the useless porch, into the hollow where trees lean tight and the air is thick with rot. The trail is a wound in the brush, lined with fur tufts and the stink of copper. Prints drag us deeper, pads heavy, ruts gouged, and alongside them shallow imprints of shoes walking careful, deliberate. The woods tilt as if folding in. Antler nests hang in the branches, trophies woven with hide. Men move slow, lights shaking. I break off and follow a ruined line of brush, heart thudding. I tell myself this has to end. It comes from behind a tangle bigger than the path, shoulders brushing saplings aside. I fire. The rifle cracks like thunder in my chest. It charges and I fire again and again until the magazine clicks empty. It hits and I swing the rifle butt. Something cracks, bone, wet, heavy, and the shape crashes into a heap of antlers and hair. We pile on with boots and fists, kicking until it stills. The stink coats our skin. For a moment we breathe like survivors. Someone mutters, "It's done." But then I see them, prints leading away, fresh and soft in the mud. Circles, pads, and shoes, not boots, not workmen's soles. Shallow, human-sized, too light to carry weight, more than one set. I stare until my vision shakes. The fight, the blood, the stink, I thought it was the end, but this isn't one beast. The prints step away from the hollow like children playing in mud. They lead back toward the road, toward the world. My voice breaks without sound. I realize too late what we killed wasn't alone.